machines have Ronco labels right on the lower right corner.
Do you ever do competitive chicken making, like a rotisserie league?
No,
Uh, like
No, I prefer head to head.
I prefer the thighs and breasts myself.
Fantasy chicken.
You know, it's the king of meats.
Did
Chicken
you
wasn't.
Chicken?
say fantasy chicken, Tom?
Yes, I did.
You have sultry music.
Yeah, didn't chicken used to be the food of the royals? Like it was.
Well, yeah, because you didn't normally eat your chickens because they're the
you
ones
wanted
that
them
laid
to
the
lay
eggs.
the eggs, yeah.
And so you know
And you milk them.
Yeah.
I know a lot about farms.
you milk the chickens. They would eat all the insects.
They provided
They were
security.
your alarm clock.
Yeah.
Geese were your security because they make a racket, and man, do they hurt.
That's why Oakland's so safe. Because they have all those geese in Lake Merritt.
Yeah, well, that's why Lake Merritt's safe.
No one has ever stolen Lake Merritt.
No, not
Because of the
once.
geese.
No
The geese are on
GTA,
permanent
no GTT.
guard.
Oh, no GTLM.
Or GTA?
The chat room is coming into the middle. Competitive chicken making?
Yeah. There's some context needed.
Yes. All right. Well, everything seems to be working as well as it's going to work, so I'm ready to go if you guys are.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh, I need control.
You got it already.
Oh.
You wouldn't have
Fancy
been able
that.
to adjust Tim's volume if you had.
volume check.
Ready,
So
check.
just remember, yeah, mic closer toward mouth, but not on your mouth. So it doesn't rub.
Or in it.
All right.
Yeah. All right, hiding.
Here we go.
Daily Tech News Show is powered by its audience, not outside organizations. To find out how you can help power the show, visit dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017. I'm Tom Merritt. Scott Johnson alongside, as usual, on Wednesdays. Senor Johnson, ¿cómo está?
Esta aquí mucho Javier. And none of that means anything, right?
This here is very Javier. You're absolutely right.
Perfect. It's good to be back. Always good to be here on Wednesdays. I'm stoked for today.
Good to be back, yeah, because one of the stories we run into a lot is batteries and them exploding and whether we should actually call it exploding and how often does it really happen and is this safe? And I have one in my pocket right now. And should I be worried? And to answer some of those questions, we're very happy to have Tim Moynihan, writer from Wired, on, who did a story on that very thing this week. Tim, it's good to have you on the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Tom. It's kind of a reunion of sorts.
Yeah, Tim and I go way back. We both worked in the Tech TV days on the website. We worked together at CNET. He was on Buzz Out Loud back in the early days a few times. So
I was in your fantasy baseball league.
You were.
The best league there is.
It's still going, actually.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to hook back up. I actually I ran into you at CES, so it was good to see you there. And when I ran across this battery story this week, I'm like, okay, we have to have Tim on to talk about this because there are both things that people are worried about that they shouldn't, and probably things that people should worry about that they should.
Sure.
Or that they don't worry about that they should. But anyway, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. Let's start with a few tech things you should know. Google Maps added a feature that lets you share your location with others, either for a limited amount of time or on an ongoing basis. A bunch of other sites have this too, but now you can do it on Google Maps.
All right. Sure, why not? There's pictures of me doing things in Google Earth anyway, so why not add to that a little location data? It's fine. Facebook opened its live streaming service to all desktop users. Previously, only pages could live stream on Facebook from the desktop, if you don't count things like the integration into Battle.net for people who are streaming their Blizzard games. But
yeah.
It is now opened up to everybody.
Take that, Twitch. In a blog post, Netflix announced that Firefox on Linux can natively play Netflix video. You don't have to do that Chrome workaround anymore if you don't want to. Hurrah. Wow. Now, here are some more top stories. LinkedIn is rolling out a trending topics feed to the U.S., which collects news stories and user posts that are personalized based on your interests and profession. Former Fortune managing editor Dan Roth is leading a team of 20 human editors. I love that I have to make that distinction these days. who will combine with algorithms. There'll be algorithms selecting stuff too, and the human editors will do some curation. The idea is to detect important storylines, collect articles, and populate a trending feeds section. Because as everyone knows, it's risk-free to get into the business of selecting news for people these days.
That's true. Also, I guess I'm kind of heartened, though, to hear about this little half step. You never hear about this. You always hear about bots that are now writing articles for us and making headlines for us. And that's fine and all, but it's not very refined. We're not very good at it yet. You can kind of tell when a bot's doing it. And the AI is just not that great. So here's a little half step. Let's have a little human intervention, a little curation happen while we also act on algorithms and let the computer have their way. This seems all right.
Well, and Facebook tried this and got in trouble because there were immediate accusations of bias, that the editors were working against the algorithm. So, I mean, Tim, as somebody who's working at Wired, where you're curating the news, every day, how do you feel about this idea of LinkedIn sort of having one foot in the journalistic world and yet one foot in the platform delivery world?
Human jobs are good. I am pro human jobs. You get into a sort of a gray area. I think, bots and humans can sort of be persuaded to do the same thing. I think with a bot, maybe it doesn't understand the newsworthiness of a story, even, despite what angle it's coming from. I think a human can kind of make that distinction a little bit better. It's not looking for keywords or syntax or anything like that. So, but like you said, yeah, with Facebook, people got in trouble, and it's people are still able to be influenced by whoever's in charge, right?
Yeah, and that's going to be the key for LinkedIn is if people look at this as a valuable resource and use it, first of all, and two, if they do, they don't see and accuse LinkedIn of bias. I have a feeling LinkedIn has an easier road there because it's not a massive public social network, even though anybody can join. It's targeted towards business, and so I feel like there's less likelihood of someone raising a hue and cry about it because it's not meant for mass consumption, and so it'll be a little more business, a little more practical, just the way LinkedIn has avoided some of the social networking controversies over the years because of that as well.
I don't know anybody who looks at LinkedIn for their fake news or their twisted news or their news that supports their particular
Yet.
True. I don't want to say never say never, but I think they're in safer water probably than Facebook. We'll see.
The thing that's cool about LinkedIn, I think people generally behave more on LinkedIn. Right, so that's like the place that you would go get a job or network for a job, that kind of thing. Facebook, those waters are muddied. YouTube, those are very muddy waters. So in terms of commenting, curating, sharing, that kind of thing, it might be a good step.
Yep, like Tom always says, you get the chat room you deserve. Baidu's chief scientist Andrew Ng announced he is stepping down from the company. And it's not because everybody seems to get hacked with fake Baidu links in their Skype accounts, I've noticed in the last couple of years. No, he's doing something else. He'll officially leave at the end of April. Ng previously contributed to the Google Brain AI Research Group and founded the education platform Coursera, and he joined Baidu back in 2014. Ng wrote, the Industrial Revolution freed humanity from much repetitive physical drudgery, and now he wants AI to free humanity from repetitive mental drudgery, such as driving in traffic. In addition to working on AI myself, I will explore new ways to support all of you in this global AI community so that we can all work together to bring this AI-powered society to fruition.
This is really interesting. So this is somebody, and I think this is going to be confusing to some folks who don't follow this. This is somebody who works in the U.S. So when he joined Baidu, he was working for Baidu's research arm in Silicon Valley in California. And so he had gone from Google, virtually across the street to work for Baidu. Didi Xuxing, the ride-hailing service from China, also, if you remember, is opening a research facility to research AI. A lot of people think, oh, so he's going to jump over there now because they made an offer at him. They're hiring away a bunch of Uber people. It wouldn't surprise me, but this Medium post really felt like him positioning himself for something different. He talked about entrepreneurship. He talks about supporting everyone in the global AI community and championing AI. And granted, he might be able to do all of those things at Didi if he joined them. But I wonder if he isn't going to start his own thing, some kind of AI association or something like that.
Yeah, what do you think, Tim? What's your take? Is this our next? I feel like every once in a while we get somebody who will pop out and want to be the next Elon Musk of the world, who's got grander ideas than the current infrastructure of the companies they work for will allow, and they're going to go out on their own and strike it rich and make something crazy and cool. Do you think is this our guy?
AI is tough to crack because it's the description of the technicalities of AI. It's always things that people don't necessarily understand. Like there are this many nodes in the neural network. It has this many convolutional layers. It's hard to understand. I know that there's a lot of movement. Obviously, Samsung just announced that it's going to have a new voice assistant on its phones that has apparently a deeper form of AI that can understand the context of language and that kind of thing. These are things that are very, very, very hard to get a grasp on and predict until you actually use them and you can see like, oh, this has an advantage over something else. It kind of goes back to that human versus bot thing where it's like, okay, these things can understand human language. These things can help us on a day-to-day level. But, you get into the whole societal thing of like, oh, are they also taking a ton of service jobs? Are they also affecting the economy in some way? Where do those jobs go? So do we need an Elon Musk for AI? Probably, if only to sort of steer it in a direction that people sort of get and understand and sort of make it, for lack of a better word, sexier.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting if Andrew Ng became that guy.
Yeah.
Google's Project Zero researcher Tavis Ormandy has identified 3 vulnerabilities in LastPass browser extensions over the last couple days. The first was reported as an issue with the Chrome extension, but it did affect Firefox and Edge browsers too. That was reported on March 20th. LastPass instituted a server-side workaround within a few hours, and a full patch is still to come. On March 21st, a similar vulnerability in the Firefox extension was reported, which would have been fixed by the full patch of the first vulnerability, but LastPass has issued a specific update Wednesday morning to address that bug directly. And fixes should be pushed to all users automatically. There is no evidence of the vulnerabilities being exploited in the wild. So Tavis Ormandy gives LastPass points for responsiveness, but he keeps finding vulnerabilities in LastPass. Now, on the one hand, you might say that's horrible. LastPass I'm supposed to trust it with all my passwords, and yet he keeps finding these vulnerabilities. Should I trust it? On the other hand, Tavis Ormandy is the person you want to find vulnerabilities in things because then he works with the companies to fix them before other malicious people could take advantage of them. How do you guys feel about this? Does this make you uneasy in using one of these password managers?
It's a bummer that it's these. I don't know. I'd always sort of hope that these would become the safe haven of security. That our password managers, the things that are supposed to make us more secure overall and create a kind of a perfect way to deal with the whole. There are a million services and they're all asking for our emails and passwords. And it's a way to do it that was much more secure. I just always hope that we wouldn't figure out a way to exploit them, that they would always be hallowed ground, that we would always have that. So I don't like the fact that this is happening. Certainly 1Password and others have had their own issues with other vulnerabilities that have come and gone. And maybe that's just the way it is. I mean, this is computers. Hello, welcome to 2017. We shouldn't be surprised. But I guess there was an optimistic part of me that always thought password managers were going to be safe from this.
Yeah, Tim, what do you think?
Well, do you guys use Windows or use Mac?
Yes.
A little of both.
Both. All right. One of the surprising things about using Windows, I've been using Mac for a while, just sort of came back to Windows 10 to see what it was all about. Windows Hello, that sort of biometric authentication where it just kind of recognizes your irises or your face or whatever. Those sorts of things coming on the Note 7, which we'll probably talk about later when we get into batteries. That sort of authentication I feel is the future. I don't think passwords will be around that much longer, or I hope they won't.
Yeah, that said, they're still here for now. Because yeah, man, I love the facial recognition on my Surface Book. It works and it's really good. And there are security issues with that sort of thing too, but they're different security issues, and everything's going to have security issues. I get that.
Right.
Two-factor authentication, when it's available, you absolutely should be using, and that'll help worry about this, help you have a backup for this sort of thing. I look at LastPass and I say, look, yes, if you are someone, and I've said this before, who wants as close to 100% security as you can get, which is unattainable, but you want to get as close as you can, then you should probably use something like KeyPass or an entirely different system. Like Darren Kitchen doesn't even use a password manager. He has his own system. On the other hand, for most people, the minute they go to a KeyPass website, they're going to look at that and say, yeah, I don't even know where to click to download. And those people who see that probably are better off using LastPass than other situations like using the same password everywhere. Because while these vulnerabilities are found, they're found and patched, and they're patched quick, and nothing is ever going to be free of vulnerabilities.
Yeah. I mean, that's the trick. I'm all for biometrics. I'm all for the future where even just me walking into the room is enough for my technology to recognize my DNA footprint or whatever. I'm all for that. But in the meantime, it's just a pain. And so when I hear about stuff like this, I just think, oh, well, great. The one thing that seemed to address this 20-year-old, 30-year-old problem of passwords is no safer than anything else. I mean, there is that feeling about it. Obviously, much rather
it never was, though.
It never was, right. It was a false sense of security. And what I should be doing is taking security in the idea that Tavis Ormandy that's his job, and he's doing a great job, and that this is like preemptive stuff that we can act on, these companies can act on. So I think I'm going to take the high road on it and not let it get me down about password stuff for now.
All right. How about something happier?
Yeah. Let's talk about a happier thing like this. iTunes 12.6, if you're into that sort of thing. Apple's announced that users will be able to continue watching movies that they've got rented on other devices. The Watch Anywhere feature requires iOS 10.3 and tvOS 10.2, which, by the way, it's important to note, are both still in beta. Rentals are still subject to the time limits on viewing. I believe it's 30 days for most movies. That may vary. But anyway, this was already something you could do with Netflix or Amazon Prime Video if you went, say, from the web to mobile to TV apps and back. They were all sort of doing that already. But now this is happening within the iTunes rental ecosystem.
Yay.
Well done, Apple. Took you a while.
Yeah, it's about time, right? And this has always been the problem with DRM, is like in pursuit of stopping people from being able to copy things in one instance out of a million, you stop everyone from being able to use things properly. This wouldn't be an issue if you didn't have DRM on things, because you'd just access it from the cloud, you'd watch it, right? But it's the access restrictions that they have to figure out how to deal with.
I get the impression, I could be wrong about this, and Tim, I'd love it if you had any additional thoughts on this, but I think that Amazon Prime Video and Netflix and others, Hulu, whatever, they may have an advantage in this way because they're not primary. Well, maybe it is their primary. Their primary way of showing content is a web browser, and there are ways to timestamp your media there based on accounts, and then have that translate directly to other accounts and other devices. That maybe because iTunes is this closed, non-web-based sort of proprietary and aging system, that it just wasn't capable, technically capable of doing what we're talking about until they decided to finally take the time to do it. So I mean, that sounds almost like I'm making an excuse for them, but it does sound to me like maybe there's some naturally simpler way to do it because there's web involved versus this closed store with, DRM material and different codecs and all that stuff. Who knows?
Facebook and Nokia Bell Labs tested a new data transmission technique on a 5,500 kilometer undersea fiber optic cable that runs between Ireland and New York. Companies say they were able to increase capacity about 2.5 times. Fibers can carry 13 terabits per second, but that could be boosted to 32 terabits per second if they were able to implement this tech. It's called PCS, for probabilistic constellation shaping. Each stretch of fiber has varying characteristics, like its length, the kind of glass they use to make it, and PCS adjusts the transmission to better fit that particular stretch of fiber based on its particular characteristics. Nokia said PCS should be available for installation in fiber networks within 3 years. Companies like Ciena and Infinera apparently have similar efforts. So this is fairly common for companies to try to implement this sort of thing. It increases capacity, which means downstream, we all have better internet service in a tiny amount because of that, especially international service. But it has Facebook and Nokia's names on it. So I think that's why this one gets the headline.
Yeah. I wonder, the primary points of advantage are going to be, I mean, the way it reads is like, well, there's all this this infrastructure between New York and Ireland. Who's benefiting? And is it the entire mainland of America, North America, and the entire
Nokia benefits if they can sell a bunch of these things because, you know, their money doesn't come from handsets anymore. It mostly comes from networking technology. Facebook benefits because they own this pipe, and if they can have more people using it because it has higher capacity, then they make more money. So
what if I built a small, self-contained living pod home in the middle of the ocean between New York?
Could you tap in?
Yeah, could I tap into it like stealing my neighbor's cable sort of thing? Or
that is an interesting question. Yeah,
and it would be even faster to both parts of the ocean.
Yeah,
right?
you could get
Wouldn't
you could get your VPN to Ireland to work really well.
Yeah, it would just
Great.
cut it in half, I guess.
Well, Tim, you're in New York. Can you just go plug into this thing?
Yeah, that's what I was doing before this podcast.
Excellent.
I was also working on my own undersea cable technology that I guess I'm just going to give up on now.
Yeah, well, don't Sienna and Infinera are right in there with them. Maybe they can get some more competition. I don't know. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in less than 10 minutes, you can subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right, let's talk a little bit about batteries. That's why we got Tim here after all. Lithium-ion batteries are dangerous. They are a lot of energy, squeezed into a smaller and smaller package all the time. Tim wrote up an excellent description of how they do it and what the risks are over at Wired.com. Definitely go over and read that. But give us the short version, Tim. What is going on with these?
Sure. I mean, the surprising thing is how frequently this sort of thing has been in the news lately. This isn't a new technology. This is a very mature technology. It's been around for at least 25 years. What I think is happening is we just have more things now. Like we just have more things that need rechargeable batteries in them. And because of that competitive landscape, because of the ubiquity of things, things are supposed to get cheaper, thinner, faster, smaller. And in the bigger context of that, people are making batteries in very cheap ways. And the way that they make cheaper batteries is to skimp on a few things. And that's various things that might be the battery's fault, or it might be other components in the pipeline, like a charger, or even the user can drop a battery or treat it poorly. So it's a lot of things that sort of have the same symptom, and unfortunately that symptom is it explodes.
Yeah, that's not good. I always try to shy away from saying exploding because it's not exactly what they do, right? They don't burst and there's not shrapnel or anything. What actually happens when these things blow?
They can actually explode. I mean, what's happening internally is when your battery is fully charged, you have a bunch of lithium ions at the positive terminal, and they're sort of magnetically attracted to electrons. When you start using a gadget, by nature, those lithium ions travel through a flammable liquid, an electrolyte, to another side, to the cathode, through sort of a semi-permeable barrier. The electrons go around into the circuitry of your device and power things. And then they sort of join up on the other side, and then when you recharge the battery, it does the reverse. What's happening is if there's any internal damage to the battery, if the electrodes, the anode and cathode touch, that creates a lot of heat, and the electrolyte within the battery doesn't respond well to heat. It's a flammable liquid. Once that hits oxygen, it can really get going. So you're seeing a lot of fires, and there are actually explosions. I think it's rarer for it to be an explosion, but that can happen in extreme heat and when oxygen hits it.
So is it? I mean, I know there's a lot of looming technologies, also one by the very creator of the lithium-ion standard, and there's a lot of talk about glass-based batteries, and some of these other things that may integrate batteries into screen covers on your phones and things like that. But
sure,
what I wonder is what has brought us to this place where our devices are overheating. It doesn't seem like it's the technology's fault so much as it is us saying thinner, faster, quick recharges. Like that kind of stuff is what's putting us in trouble, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of variables. One is, the simplest equation, which is that they're building the batteries poorly. And that can be anything from that separator that's separating the anode and cathode and keeping them from shorting, that might be damaged in some way. So those things touch, they heat up a lot, that hits the electrolyte, they explode. The other thing that can be happening, if you think about every gadget you have, especially phones, they redesign these things every single time that they release them. I mean, that's design is a huge part of why people buy gadgets now. So whenever there's a huge design change, they have to redesign the battery. That introduces potential faults in the battery as well. And there might be simple things like if a case is too small and it's adding pressure to the battery, that can become pretty volatile as well. If there's also inadequate venting in a case, that can have effects on the heat and the electrolyte stability as well. So I mean, those are a lot of different factors. The other thing is, everybody's done this. I think you leave your charger at home. There's a $2 version of it, and then you just buy that $2 version. Those can be really dangerous too. They don't have the power management features or the insulation a lot of times that the one that comes with your device, if it's a high-end device, does.
Yeah, and that's what happened. Not the charger thing, but the problem with the insulation is what happened with the Note 7. There wasn't
Yeah.
enough space in one of the batteries in particular,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other battery that they replaced it with had its own problem with the insulating layer,
Yeah.
and I yes, especially in Samsung's case, they were. It felt like maybe they were rushing.
Totally.
They were taking a new design and rushing it before they were absolutely certain that it was going to hold up under all instances. Remember, lots of Note 7s didn't have a problem. It was just that the insulating layer was so close that it could cause a problem more often. And I think that's another thing that gets lost in these conversations is I don't know that the batteries are actually having problems more often. It's that we have, think about how many batteries are around you right now.
Exactly.
A lot of you have a lithium-ion battery in your pocket or in your bag or on the desk in front of you. There are so many more of them that even if the number of incidents per number of batteries was going down, the number of actual incidents would probably be going up, right?
Right, totally. Yeah, it's that. I agree with you that Samsung was trying to beat the iPhone 7 to market. They had a great phone. I mean, the sad thing is that the Note 7 was a great phone, except for that pesky exploding problem.
The phone part was great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a really good phone. But what you said also is it sort of signifies what the changing nature of the problem is. In that phone alone, there were 3 separate battery problems with 2 different batteries. There were 2 recalls of that phone. The first, they thought they had isolated it to a Samsung built battery that was like crimped at the edges and the electrodes were touching and causing shorts in a very small amount of them. Then they replaced all those with safer batteries, and those had their own set of problems. They had materials that could, damage the separator on the inside, and they caused sort of the same symptom in completely different ways. So there's an example where one phone had a bunch of different problems that were hard to pinpoint.
Are any of the future technologies that have been talked about or bandied about, do any of those jump out at you and go, oh yeah, that's probably the direction this is going to go and can't get there fast enough?
I talked to a materials expert, Jay Whitaker, at Carnegie Mellon. He thinks one of the main things that needs to happen is the bigger problem is like the electrolyte within lithium-ion batteries itself is flammable. And there are alternatives that are being sort of developed where it's a water-based electrolyte. So that kind of eliminates a lot of the conflagratory problems that these batteries are having. Whether anything is mature enough and able to be mass produced at this point, I think it's telling that lithium ion is sort of the default right now because that is the easiest thing to sort of plug into any phone or plug into any device. So it's a lot of different things. Honestly, I don't know of one battery technology that is definitely going to replace lithium ion, but I think all this news happening lately is probably going to spur that development further.
Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. Helps us figure out what cool stories to go after. Keep them coming, folks. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. A few emails to get through here before we're out of here. Joe from D.C., who's writing from Ghana, is finally catching up on DTNS and listened to DTNS 2989 and the comments generated from Harish's comments on Kerala, the state in India that said that the internet is a human right. Joe says, my parents actually came from Kerala to Chicago in 1972. When my parents first came, their main method of communication were blue aerogram letters. Do you remember those? The blue paper post. Fast forward almost 40 years now, my cousins and other relatives in Kerala all keep in touch through WhatsApp and Facebook, especially with family that's spread throughout the rest of the world in the Middle East, the Americas, and Australia. Kerala may be an anomaly. The joke has always been its chief export are its people, often well-educated, who go abroad and work and send money back. But because of this development that happened over the 40 to 50 years, we forget perhaps what a radical change it was. And a note here, Joe is working on rural electrification in Ghana. He says, we need more focused efforts on technologies that can bring services at cheaper prices to rural areas. Hearing about Hackers for Charity was interesting. I'd be very interested as well to find out if DTNS listeners know of any other projects in this space. So if you know of any tech folks out there working to bring internet services to places that need them, let us know. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. No lawyers wrote in regarding our story about the police wanting access to encrypted hard drives, despite the fact that they found incriminating files, or despite the fact that finding incriminating files was ruled to be a foregone conclusion. Our question was, well, if they already know it's a foregone conclusion, so he doesn't get to use the Fifth Amendment, why do they need to see the files if it's already a foregone conclusion? We did get this note. The person who wrote said, I am not a lawyer, but I am the father of a child who has been the object in 2 related child pornography investigations. My daughter was coerced at 9 years old into sending indecent photos of herself to a couple of older men. Thankfully, we caught her early on and got the police involved, but this was only after she had provided them with a handful of photos. As with anything on the internet, once it's sent out, it's impossible to bring it back, and that's the hard lesson we'll have to live with forever. My apologies that this happened, but thank you for sharing the story. He says, while the police have the testimony and a photo in this man's case, they could use the evidence on encrypted drives to help piece together information about additional exploited children and people distributing their photos. And we got a lot of other people mentioning a very similar thing, which is it's not self-incriminating. They don't need the drive to prove what he did. So the Fifth Amendment doesn't protect him, but they do need to get into the drive to find out if there are any related cases. And that seems to be the argument.
Absolutely. This was going to be my answer to this whole thing. There's always going to be a chance to do more justice with more information and without overreach. Obviously, this seems like absolutely easy, probable cause. Get in there, get the stuff. You may find a tangled web that will open up all sorts of other things and protect unnumbered children. So this seems like the right thing to be able to do, even though the foregone conclusion language is there.
Mike in tropically sunny and humid Koh Samui, Thailand wrote in. I want to be where Mike is. Some feedback from a business traveler who's impacted by the laptop ban. I'll be flying from Thailand back to the U.S. on Saturday through Dubai on Emirates Airline. It impacts any traveler connecting through major Middle Eastern hubs to the United States, so gate agents all over the world are going to need to remind travelers connecting through Dubai to check their laptops at their airport of origin. I wonder how these impacted airlines will handle laptops if someone has already checked their baggage earlier in their journey. They will have to search everyone's carry-on at the gate, lengthening lines to board the plane. Not being able to do any work even at the airport while waiting for my flight is, of course, a major inconvenience. I do worry about someone stealing my laptop in my luggage, so just to be safe, I'm going to do a cloud backup and take my laptop hard drive in my carry-on. Banning people is worse than banning electronics, but I hope the laptop ban will be better executed. That's Mike. And there was an update that there was, in fact, a credible threat, which we were wondering yesterday why we hadn't heard about that. They said now that there was a particular threat that they were reacting to with this change in policy. And then finally, Brian is one of the non-Reddit contributors that Patrick and I were talking about yesterday, he says. And he came across an article on CNET this morning from Sean Hollister, who was able to get his Joy-Con controller repaired by Nintendo, and he very carefully, because he's a good reporter and also my brother-in-law, he actually took apart the Joy-Con, took a picture of the inside, sent it in for repair, took a picture of it when he got it back, and the only difference he could find was a little block of foam has been put in that left Joy-Con that Bill Detweiler over at Tech Republic, who's my boss on Top 5 on Tech Republic, I'm connected to everybody in this story. Bill Detweiler says that's probably conductive foam. So it's probably helping the reception of that part of the Joy-Con. Sean said it definitely fixed the Joy-Con controller. And the other thing that he did was buy a new one, because of course he didn't want to be without one while he had to send the other one back in to be fixed. And the new one doesn't have any foam in it, but works just fine. So he's like, they must have found a different fix for manufacturing, but this foam is their interim fix for people who have the old ones.
Yeah, this is such a weird deal. Like, this entire thing feels like Antenna Gate again, but in a way that's even
Nintendo's Antenna Gate. Yeah,
it really is. And I realized this morning, talking to you on the morning stream about this small story, that I haven't really put mine through the paces. I use a Pro controller when I'm on the TV, and when I'm not, I'm using it as a portable. So I've never really tried to get the Joy-Cons to not work the way that everyone's claiming. So for all I know, I need to call Nintendo and get something done. But who knew a little foam would go so far?
Little conductive foam fixes everything. You know, my grandpa, that's what he always said. Little conductive. Nah, it was WD-40.
Everything but lithium-ion battery explosions.
Yeah. Fix. Do you think a little? Actually, you want to have less conductivity in a lithium-ion battery outside of what it's supposed to be conducting. So, right?
Why not?
Well, thank you, Tim Moynihan, for joining us. Absolutely enjoyed talking to you again, my friend. Where can people find more of what you're doing?
www.wired.com on any internet browser.
wired.com.
Correct.
Direct to your Netscape Navigator, Internet Explorer, Mosaic browser.
What was the one? Rock Melt? No.
Wow. Rock Melt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Had like social media integration within it.
Oh wow, I forgot all about Rock
Melt. That was
Melt.
like mid 2000s.
Yeah, mid 2000s.
Yeah.
It's not Hotwired anymore either. It's just wired.com.
Right.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you chatting with us.
Thanks. Go Steamrollers.
That's it's an inside fantasy baseball reference. Scott Johnson, what do you got going on?
Oh, a million things. But best place for people to go is just frogpants.tv if they want to watch live streams of the shows we produce on the network. Frogpants.com, of course, will get you there. But if you go to Frogpants TV, that'll take you straight there. There's live stuff happening all the time. There's a schedule and calendar posted right there, so you can see when we go live next. And I'd appreciate it if people did that and like the channel and sub and all that fun stuff on Twitch. And as always, if you want to communicate with me on the regular, you can find me on Twitter at Scott Johnson.
Hey, thanks to everybody who supports the show. If you get a little value from the show, all we ask is you give a little value back. Patreon.com/DTNS is a great way to do that. John Raymond Bowie doing that. Jason Boese or Boese. Thank you, Jason, for upping your pledge. Olga Veselova has joined our ranks as well. So thanks to everybody at patreon.com/DTNS for supporting the show. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
All right. Good show. Thanks again, Tim.
All right. Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you.
Yeah. Is there? What are the Mannheim Steamrollers now? What's the name of the team?
You know what? That's a good question. The Mannheim Steamrollers was Tim's fantasy baseball team, and while Roger looks over the
titles.
The titles.
This one's good. Quit lie on about batteries exploding. Linked feed new and improved news with a touch of human. A little conductive foam fixes everything. Trend in news. Faked in. Antenna Gate. Joy-Con receptive to foam fix. Foam fix. There's just very few titles today. It's only what 9.
Too bad.
What's your favorite?
I like a little conductive foam fixes everything. Kind of goes in within the duct tape and wire.
Yeah, no, it's not bad.
I can't figure out who Mannheim became, and I can't remember off the top of my head.
I like faked in a lot, but I don't think it's good to use. Don't use it. I just like this. I like faked in.
Faked in news.
Yeah. Sorry. Losing my voice again.
Anything else?
No, there's still the same
Nintendo-gate.
9. Yeah. Nintendo-gate and Joy-Con receptive to foam fic at fault in batteries. But quit lie on about batteries exploding.
Hey, that's
Hey!
pretty good.
Quit lie on.
Keep your eye
Lion.
on. Do you guys use Slack?
Yeah.
Yes.
We do.
Do you like it, or do you think it distracts you too much?
I like it, but I'm not in. I don't really participate in the Slacks that are way super crazy. I've seen some people who are in Slacks where they're like constantly notifications going off and stuff. Thankfully,
Yeah.
I don't have any like that.
Yeah.
They should just have one that's titled the water cooler, so anyone wants to shoot the breeze about that has nothing to do with work.
We have that. It's called the New York Pizza Room.
Nice.
We talk about pizzas sometimes.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
The New York Pizza Room sounds delicious.
It's an entire room made of pizzas.
We have a Slack for people on Patreon at a certain level. You can join our DTNS Slack, and it's kind of the same thing. It's just people shooting the breeze about stuff.
Yeah. Well, Slack has changed my working life in a lot of ways, in very positive ways, I think. I don't know how to quantify it. It just feels like I'm more productive with it than I used to be.
Mhm.
Emails.
It's good. It's good for the. I mean, it's always existed in my workflow in the form of like GChat or AIM. Way back in the day.
Yeah.
AIM.
ICQ. Yeah.
Yeah, ICQ, Yahoo Messenger. But now it's just company wide, which is kind of cool.
Jabber.
Jabber, HipChat. I think that's it. I think that's all of them.
We kind of covered the.
Yeah.
So quit lying about batteries exploding is tops right now on the vote. Lion, it's a animal. Lion. Ooh, Lion brand lithium-ion batteries. Rawr. Is that what they used to put a tiger in your tank?
Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that ad campaign.
And then became an endangered species, so they had to go with another animal.
You ever have a Lion bar, the candy bar? It's British.
No.
Yes.
Sounds great. British chocolate's the best.
Wonderful candy bar.
I don't like the flakes. I don't like flakes.
Yeah, that one's a little weird.
Actually, it's kind of weird. Like most of them, I don't like, but there's a few I like. I also like the fact that their Kit Kat tastes like American Kit Kat did back in the '80s.
Yeah, there's
like
soda.
The ones now are gross that you get in the supermarket. It's like literally like if you stuck like melted chocolate in the fridge and you let it form a bar. It's just nasty.
All the soda over there tastes different too. I think they use
sugar.
At least in some countries, sugar beets instead of sugar cane.
Yeah, sugar beets definitely has a different taste to it. Yeah, for me, I just try to avoid soda no matter where it comes from.
Yeah. I drink ginger ale. It's a new thing.
Is that a beer?
No.
But you said it's an ale.
Hey-o. It's the cure for what ails you.
Ginger ale is good for settling the stomach, so it kind of is good for.
I like ginger beer. Makes me feel like I'm drinking beer without the bad taste or the calories.
Ginger beer has some calories in it too.
Doesn't have as many calories as beer does. Beer or
Much
not.
as beer.
Beer.
Burr.
Beer.
Hey,
Very
burrs.
South Park. Beer.
Grab some burrs.
What would you take?
What's the beer out there in LA? What's the hot?
You know what? I've been drinking a lot of cider these days.
Ooh.
Really?
But yeah, there's Eagle Point and Ballast, and there's a bunch
Ballast
of
is good.
Yeah.
Ballast is very good.
Ballast is
Yeah.
San Diego. It's not LA, but it's close.
Yeah. I had to get used to like all the different beers over here when I moved.
Yeah.
West Coast, East Coast. It's all different.
Isn't that crazy? Like,
Yeah.
not even 20 years ago, the difference between West Coast and East Coast was like, ooh, Round Rock, Rolling Rock is an East Coast
Exactly.
beer,
Yeah.
and now it's everything.
Right. Well, it's all the microbrews.
Yeah.
You have to learn all the microbrews over here, but they're good. There's some good stuff.
Heavy Bladder Brewery.
Heavy bladder.
The toughest one that's good is Gun Hill IPA or Gun Hill Pale Ale.
Yeah.
What makes it so tough?
It just sounds tough.
Gun
Oh, I
Hill.
see what you're saying.
We got a pint of Gun Hill, please.
What are
And if
drinking?
you get the if you go to a restaurant and you get it with a hamburger,
Yeah. Wait, what?
then it's hamburger Gun Hill.
Nice.
Oh,
Gun Hill.
boy.
That's a Tom joke.
It's been too long, Tom.
I know.
It's been far too long.
Scott has to deal with it every week. He doesn't think it's as funny.
I love it. Don't change.
Roger has to deal with it every day. He definitely doesn't think it's
Don't change.
Man.
Don't changing waterfalls.
Oh, look at you, dipping way back into the 90s. Didn't mean to say Dickin. Didn't mean Dickin.
You meant Dawkin,
Dawkin.
which is the
Yeah.
80s.
There you
That's-
go. Heavy metal up in here.
I don't have the. Hey, Speedmaster.
So yeah, Tim, we just sit around and chat until I'm done publishing.
Cool.
So no pressure.
No hype.
Can you-
Oh,
I gotta
hanging on my door.
check my Slack. I don't think I'm on the hook for anything right now.
All right, cool.
Check your Slack.
This is how it is in the big town,
Big
New York
city.
In the Big Apple.
big,
Big
town,
Apple.
New York City life.
Eileen was gonna be headed back out to New York City for some work stuff. I was thinking about tagging along, but then now it looks
Yeah.
like she's not gonna go. So
Ah, crap. Well, if you ever are out here, let me know.
yeah, well, for sure.
We could eat pizza.
At the pizza room.
We could eat bagel pizza
Pizza's on a bagel.
with hot dogs.
You can make pizza.
That's all we do here. Those are the 3 meals that we eat.
Yeah, pizza for breakfast,
Pizza,
hot
hot
dogs for
dog.
lunch.
And then
Bagels
we
for
get a
dinner.
taxi. And then we go to Central Park.
Wait, now you sound like you're from Boston, Central Park.
Yeah. I get confused. Let's see.
I'm going with a little conductive foam fixes everything. In case anybody was still wondering. Not that I didn't like the quit lie on about batteries.
So you're going to low conductive foam fixes everything.
Yep.
Got it.
So that means I can use that one for future headlines.
You could do quit lie on, yeah. I can't wait to see that come through my RSS feed. Damn, you're one ahead. Actually, BioCow is the one who made it, I think, in the submitted it from the chat room. So
Thank you. It's beautiful.
all yours. Is that Creative Commons license, BioCow?
I won't take it. I won't steal it. We actually have an entire staff devoted to writing headlines here.
Hey, remember when we had that at CNET too?
Yeah, but ours is like in Slack. You just like you post, the editor posts whatever they want the headline they think it should be.
Yeah.
And then it's like a NASCAR pit crew. Then
Wow.
5 people jump in and it's just like a pun off, and then they spit out something.
Man, can you imagine if we had
Amazing.
Slack back then in
I know.
2004?
It would be easy. We could do our entire job in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
We also had a CMS where everything was basically bulk HTML containers.
Oh,
Remember?
back at CNET we did, yeah.
Yeah.
That never
was
ceased to amaze me.
incredible.
They finally fixed that before I left.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not like that anymore.
Well, I think now it's just entirely automated.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a river that kind of populates based on traffic and other stuff. It didn't used to be like that, Tom.
I couldn't remember. I left CNET in 2010. Were you still there, or had you already moved on?
I left in 07.
07. Okay,
Yeah,
so
end
yeah,
of 07. Yeah.
got it. Oh, right, because you were just down the street at like InfoWorld and
Yeah, PC World.
PC World.
Same big old company.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like Technology Publication Row.
Yeah, where else?
2nd Street, and then Wired's just like a block over.
And Mevio.
Yes, of course, Mevio.
But yeah, Ziff Davis was on that same street.
Yeah. IGN, I think, was down by the ballpark. Yeah.
They were
Sorry,
in that
Scott.
Levi building. Well, past Levi's building.
Yeah.
Levi.
Yeah.
Not Beatmaster.
Nothing worse than reminiscing about things that you can't reminisce about.
Right.
I just remember that Mexican restaurant. That was the only place that had good Mexican. And it was only their chicken mole burrito.
Was that in South Park?
No, it was in that Levi building, that complex. It was a restaurant. I forgot what was it called.
Okay.
It was like a sit-down
Oh,
restaurant.
I forgot all about that place. They made their own tortilla chips.
Yes.
I remember.
That place was good. It was called Maya.
Yeah, that was it, Maya.
Forgot all about Maya.
They also had it closed down. I don't understand why it closed down because it was always busy. It was overpriced. So
You know what?
I think
They could have had
margins
the
were pretty
rent
good.
could have went up.
Yeah, probably. But they
The
had
rent is
all
too damn
sorts
high.
of good burritos. They had like a chicken tinga burrito that was delicious.
Yeah. It was
Yeah, I
always
didn't
really
like-
hard to find seats there, though, because it was that weird, like thin and long
Yeah.
sort of.
Well, you got to know where to look. Got to know where to look for those seats.
I'm back.
They're usually by the tables or along the bar.
All right, stop reminiscing about San Francisco in 2007. Scott's back.
Oh, sorry. What happened in 07?
I don't know. We were just talking about all the places to eat
Oh.
near where we all used to work.
Remember the Curry in the Hurry? They
I
moved.
love that place.
They moved a little down the
yeah.
block, and then they got expensive.
My big thing every day was, should I get number 2 or number 3? And sometimes I'd ask for half and half.
So I was
was
a
the
glutton.
call.
I always got 2.
I don't
would always
remember
say-
what number 2 or number 3 are anymore. I just
No, you
remember
don't-
it was number 2 and number 3.
You don't even need to know because they changed. All you had to say was, "I want the chicken
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the lamb." That was
Mhm.
my thing, and then say double order of naan. I could use that right now. So hungry.
And then if you're me, you say no cilantro after all that.
Right. No soap. I mean cilantro.
See, I don't have that issue.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I'm a freak.
I don't have the. I don't
can't-
have. I think there's three categories. I think there's people who love cilantro who think it tastes great. There's people like Tim who it tastes like soap, and then there's people like me who are like, I don't even notice it's there,
Yeah.
so I don't really care if it's there or
It doesn't bother me. It tastes like a less offensive parsley to me.
not.
Well, to me, the analogy I make is black licorice, right?
Do you like black licorice?
I love black licorice.
Yeah, see,
So
I
you-
love black licorice too.
Do you guys like?
But like some
ouzo?
people just can't do it.
Yeah,
I can't
Scott
even-
hates it.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
Black
It makes me
licorice is
gag
nasty.
thinking about it. Ugh.
And
love,
anise.
I love grape licorice.
Yeah, I like the stuff that's kid flavored. I like Twizzlers and all that crap.
Even the couple of foods that I didn't like as a kid, I don't mind now. Like there's really nothing I don't like to eat.
Listen, I've seen you like ham down an entire bottle of Clamato and a donut. So you are capable of much when it comes to this.
What about sea urchin? Sea urchin is not good.
Mm.
What? Uni?
Yeah, I don't know
Oh,
what
I
it's.
love uni.
Sea urchin?
Yeah.
It's like
What about lutefisk?
really?
Remember that
Sushi?
rotting
Man.
the rotting fish in Sweden? What's that called?
Never had the rotting
Lutefisk?
fish.
Yeah, it's bad.
I haven't ever had lutefisk. I haven't had the rotting egg either. I don't remember what that's called.
Balut?
wait.
Balut?
Not balut. I've never had balut either.
Oh,
That's
wait,
the
are you talking about the
fertilized egg.
Chinese one?
Yeah,
Chinese
that's the
one
Chinese one. There's
not the
two.
Chinese.
It's just a black egg.
The Chinese one is a fermented egg, the 1,000-year-old
Yeah,
egg.
I've never had the 1,000-year egg.
Oh,
It's a very acquired. My mom used to eat it.
I can't wait to head over to Scott's this year and fix him a nice dinner of lutefisk, 1,000-year egg, and balut.
Ugh.
And black licorice.
Well, the thing about
Black
1,000-year
licorice for dessert.
Well, it's the thing about the 1,000-year egg is you actually don't. Well, at least my mother never. You ate the whole thing. You use it as kind of a flavoring.
Ah, okay.
It's like eating It's just like eating nothing but anchovies, right? It's like
You
normally
don't eat anchovies on their own. You put them in Caesar salad or on pizza.
Or a Caesar pizza.
Or not
Caesar salad pizza.
Because it's gross. Those are gross.
Lutefisk. You know, it's a very interesting because what they do is they salt and not salt the cod. They brine the cod and it just sits there until it turns into a gelatinous mess.
Scotch eggs are good.
I like Cadbury eggs myself.
Scotch Cadbury eggs. They're just called McCadbury.
Yes. Does anyone sell pizza with anchovies anymore? Knots in the chat room.
Oh, hell yeah.
I've had it within the past year. Eileen loves anchovies on pizza, so that's the thing we keep up on.
I just introduced my girlfriend to anchovies on pizza. She went nuts.
Wait,
wow, you guys are getting serious.
She didn't think she'd like it and was like, "Well, this is amazing."
That's like right below Meet the Parents.
Like,
no, she's 30.
She's ESPN's she's an ESPN documentary.
ESPN 3030.
Tim's dating a documentary.
That's correct. I'm dating an imaginary documentary. But we get along.
Mom, I'd like you to be my girlfriend. It's just a videotape.
Anchovies are the kind of things I love it on pizza, but yeah, I can't have it all the time. It's like a once a year, like, okay, bring me some anchovies.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we are published. I have to go to the eye doctor.
I'll see you. I see you.
I'll see you. So thanks, everybody, for listening and watching. Thanks again, Tim.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.